What's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business at school?
Without sounding patronising, I feel like there's too much pressure on kids now. I feel like until you've got some life experience, you don't know yourself. I feel like you have to get involved in as many things as you can.
What are the plans for Girls with Dreams Club in the future? And do you believe you'll set up any more organisations?
It's a possibility that we might do something else. I think if you are entrepreneurial and you do see business opportunities, it's hard to switch that off.
If you were a secondary school student, again now, what type of business would you look to start and why?
Tech.
I knew you'd say tech, but I would say whatever makes you feel passionate and lights you up, do something with that, because there's nothing worse than going to a job you hate or doing a business that you're not interested in. Whatever you are, pursue your passion.
Welcome to another Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast episode. My name is Richard Layton, the entrepreneur in residence within the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship that's part of the University of Liverpool Management School. We're here this morning with the Year 10s in UTC, the studio in the Baltic Triangle. Thank you to Mr. Carey, the Sector Skills Champion within the school, for not only supporting the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast, but also the Enterprise Education in Secondary Schools programme. Pupil who's going to be interviewing our entrepreneurs this morning is Paddy, and our entrepreneurs are from the Social Enterprise Girls with Dreams Club. Our two social entrepreneurs are Nick Byrne and Sarah Worsley.
Well done.
And I'll now hand it over to Paddy to ask our entrepreneurs the questions.
What does Girls with Dreams Club do, and how long have you run the organisation?
So Girls with Dreams Club is a social enterprise, which I know some of you have been exploring in your lessons. And a social enterprise is a business that does good. So it's a business that still needs to make money. Everyone still needs to get paid. We need to pay our suppliers. We need to pay ourselves, which we're not at the minute, but we'll explore that as we're going through further questions. But it's a business that essentially does good. So what Girls with Dreams does is we work with girls from, and I know we've got a lot of guys in the room, so but hopefully you'll have sisters, you'll have mates who this will be relevant to. So we work with girls from 10 to 18, and what we do is we support them to learn things that they don't learn in school. And I know that you're lucky to go to a school that's a little bit different. It's a bit unconventional maybe to some of the schools. You're learning more about business, you're learning more life skills, but not everyone has the luxury of that. There's also a lot of people that are homeschooled. So we're trying to fill the gap by creating safe spaces. We're also trying to make it a little bit cool. Does anyone hear of Scout Girls Social? Anyone heard of that? Yeah. It's all right if you were a boy and you heard of Scout Girls Social, because it was a big event. So we run this huge big event just over the road in Box Park about 7 weeks ago now. And for us, and again, we're going to talk about this more, personal development and getting to know yourself and being able to set goals for yourself, know what your strengths are, know what the areas that you need to build on is really, really important. And we set Girls with Dreams up to kind of make personal development cool, accessible, and also engaging for young girls.
Why did you decide to start Girls with Dreams Club as opposed to another type of organisation?
This is another Nick question, because she actually started Girls with Dreams Club in 2023, and I have only come along March this year. Yeah.
So I've got commercial businesses, and again we'll talk about that in subsequent questions. I've been in business for over 23 years. I've employed a lot of girls. I've got businesses that work with girls, and I was just seeing with the way the world is, and I'm going to talk about the work that we do with girls, but I think it affects young people. It's not, gender specific. The world is like crazy fast at the minute. How many people feel that they spend too much time on the phones? I spend too much time. No, not everyone. I spend a lot of time on my phone. How many people struggle to go to sleep of the night because they've been like doom scrolling? Yeah, all these things, like we've developed like a different set of habits to what I had when I was growing up. And going back to the school thing, I don't think there's places where we can learn to develop these new habits, where we can learn to kind of get to know ourselves better. And I was seeing that more and more. We were taking young people on. There was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of people who maybe hadn't completed school, and I was like, well, there's no place where anyone's getting to learn to regulate themselves, to find out a little bit about themselves. These books that Mr. Carey has mentioned, you know, there's a whole world online of personal development resources, and I didn't feel like they were accessible for young people. So that was why we set Girls with Dreams up.
What were you like in secondary school, and were you as entrepreneurial as a student?
You can answer that one, because that's just about the business. We'll both answer that.
So my dad was always really entrepreneurial. He always worked, but he was never happy just working for someone. So he always wanted to do his own thing, be his own boss. I think it was a bit of a dream at that time, like probably like towards the late 70s, that people wanted to take control and feel more empowered. So for me, being in like as an entrepreneur, it's always been something that's been quite natural to me, because my dad was not conventional. I always remember, like, my dad would sell all different things. He'd sell t-shirts, he'd sell knickers, he'd sell beer from France, like just completely random stuff. And I always remember being in school and thinking, I wish my dad just worked in Fords, so I could say, my dad does this, because it was always really difficult when you've got a parent that's an entrepreneur to say what your dad does without saying he's an entrepreneur.
And I was probably the polar opposite, because my mum and dad did have conventional jobs. There wasn't really anyone in my network that was in business, and I mean, I call myself quite often an accidental entrepreneur who become a serial one, because I had no intention of owning my own businesses. And for a long time I didn't. I worked in the public sector, so I was a civil servant. I worked for the trade union movement, and I had my first business, which I opened 24 years ago, and it was a side hustle. So side hustles, like a lot of people talk about side hustles now, we can start a side hustle at any age. I opened that and was working full time and was running a business, and it was kind of just, it was my husband. He was like, should we have a go at this? And I was like, okay, yeah. There was no master plan for it. But I think some of that was because I didn't have any influence around me. You know, different to what Sarah had. So no, it wasn't entrepreneurial at school whatsoever.
Yeah. What were your favourite subjects, and what did you like best about school?
I actually did like some subjects in school. I said to Nick when we got these questions, I don't know, I'm going to answer these because I hated school like no other person. But I did actually enjoy a couple of subjects. I absolutely loved music. I found a place in the music group, and it was just a bit cool, and like you got to stay inside at lunchtime, which was a real big bonus for me. And the other subjects I loved were French and Spanish. I've always loved the way language sounds, and yeah. So they're mine.
I loved school.
I know, we're just...
It's how we've
she
ended up in
says that,
business
it
together.
makes me feel a bit sick.
I really, really loved going to school, but the thing is like I wasn't the cleverest, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the most creative, I wasn't particularly good at anything in school. I just enjoyed going to school. I think from lessons perspective, I liked English, I liked drama, I liked being involved in drama, and then as I moved through school, getting involved in like directing plays and productions. And I think there's something in the subjects that I enjoyed, in that I do like storytelling, I do like performance. You know, I've managed big teams in my businesses, and I think thinking about it now, you know, being involved in like the direction and getting involved in the production of plays, that was probably the early days of me leaning into leadership, I guess. But what I would say is, even though I wasn't any of those things in school, didn't do particularly well in any of my exams, I got asked back to speak at my school prize giving 2 years ago, which was a bit mad, because when you looked at all the other people that they'd asked back, there'd always been these people who'd gone to Oxford, to Cambridge, you know, people who were quite high profile. So it was a little bit, it was overwhelming, but it was a massive like sense of achievement that they'd asked me to go back. And it just goes to show you that it's not all about grades. I think for me, I was like, I got involved with everything in school. I was friends with everyone, and there's something in that. It's not just all about grades.
Yeah, my grades were terrible at school.
Yeah.
What could school have done to encourage or support you and others into entrepreneurship more?
I think you have to be creative. I think you have to keep your mind wide open like a parachute. And I think sometimes that feels a bit with the pressure that's on schools to get kids to achieve grades. It squeezes out the creativity. I feel like there needs to be more space for that, for kids to figure out what they like and what they don't like, and to try different things. But if you've got no creativity, you've got no entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, you know, and you guys won't appreciate this because you come in, you have to go to maths, you have to go to geography, you have to go to all these lessons, and the powers that be are dictating what that curriculum looks like, and schools like your school are trying to flex that as much as they can. And as I said before, you're lucky because that's not the case in all schools. And there should just be more of that. There should be more freedom within the curriculum. I think opportunities like today, having entrepreneurs and people from business to come in and chat with you. But what I always say is, what happens when we leave? What if you've sat there today and gone, I've really connected with something that Sarah and Nick have said. They've told us about how resilient they are, or how resourceful they are, or how they like public speaking, which I don't, by the way. I don't like public speaking at all. But then you've had to go back to a lesson that isn't giving you those skills. So for me, and it wasn't, you know, it was so far removed from where we are today when I went to school, because I'm a lot older than you guys. But I wish there was more of that. I wish there was more links with industry. I wish there was more opportunity to develop these like softer, more confidence building. Like I battled with shyness and overcoming confidence, and it's only as I've got older and I've been able to, going back to what I said before, do this work on myself, visualise what it's going to be like at the other side, do nervous system regulation. We should be doing more of that in school.
Did you go to sixth form and university after studying your GCSEs, and how did it help you develop entrepreneurial skills?
I took the scenic route in education, I'd say. I definitely did not follow any sort of linear path. I just about got a couple of GCSEs in school, then I went to college, then I resat, and I felt like all I did was, I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't have a clue. I don't think probably, if I look back now, I left school in 1996. What I'm doing now, what didn't exist in 1996. So I think timing is everything. I don't feel like every kid has to go on the same like steps
100%.
route. I think you have to find yourself in the world, and life shapes you, just every day shapes you in a different way. One thing that I always say is you're really lucky to have choices, and if you've got the choice you're in an environment and you can study, because it gets harder as you get older, and you get to pick your hard. And I think that's something that I always say when I'm struggling with something. I'm like, Sarah, you get to pick this hard now, so I can either pay now or pay later, because there's always, whatever you do, there's always going to be a consequence. So always pick your hard.
So I did do A-levels.
Of course you did.
But I wasn't very good.
Of course
but
you did.
I just about did A-levels. Yeah, just about did A-levels. Because I stayed on at school, because I love school. So I think I did economics, politics and English. Didn't do particularly well with them. Didn't get good enough grades to go to uni. So ended up getting a job. Did loads. I used to want to be a journalist and live in Canada. And that is, you know, there's still time. And so, but I actually did go back and I went and did a BTEC in business and finance. They just still don't know whether they still do BTEC yet. I did that in my late 20s. And then I actually did a master's at Liverpool Uni. So I did a master's in urban regeneration and management. And weirdly, I'd done an economics A-level, which I think I got an E in. And then when I did my master's, I did an economics module. So I was early 30s at the time and got a distinction. So going back to, again, to what Sarah said about timing and where you are, because even though something's not right for you right now, it might come to you later on in life.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of learning, like I love to learn. Early on this year, I spent 6 months training as an intuitive psychology coach, and all these books, they're all in some way recycling theories that have been around for many, many years. And those theories really, really help you understand not just yourself, but your mates, sometimes your mum and dad, and will definitely help you understand relationships when you get into the workplace. So you might roll your eyes sometimes when you're learning some sort of like business strategy or business theory, but let me tell you, there will be a situation in your future where something will happen and you will feel more confident in that situation because you'll be able to go, oh, that's Maslow, or that's this theory, or that's it. Honestly, so it might not feel like the right time for you now, but leaning into academia and leaning into learning is definitely something that like I will always invest in.
What did you do before starting Girls with Dreams Club? Did you work for anyone else or run any other organisations? What did you learn?
I call you Mr. Ben, don't
I was thinking
does
that.
does anyone know who Mr. Ben is? So Mr. Ben's, Google it. Mr. Ben is a cartoon character that had hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And each day Mr. Ben would turn up as something else, so I call Sarah Mr. Ben.
That's me.
Because she's had loads of jobs.
Do you remember Golden Girls? Yeah. I'm like Sophia Petrillo. I did everything. I was an air hostess. I ran bars for years. I did some accountancy qualifications. I did that. I've done. There's not many things, is there?
Mr. Ben.
Mrs.
Ben.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a weather girl though, and I've never been a weather girl. But before I die, I'm going to make it my mission. Yeah, I'm going to be a weather girl. Yeah.
So similarly, I've had not lots of jobs. So I worked in the civil service, I worked for the trade union movement, which was a great place to work. And then I was a project manager. So I used to work in regeneration, which is about like how cities and places and creating places. There's a lot of working skills in education as well. And I always had a bar job. So fun fact, Sarah and I, before we met, worked next to each other on Matthew Street. So Sarah worked for her dad in one bar and I was managing the bar next door, but we didn't know each other for a long time after. But I would encourage anyone to get a bar job. It's like the skills that you learn in terms of like managing conflict, just problem solving, the confidence skills that it'll give you. Plus, it's a boss social life, and you end up being able to get in all the clubs and the bars in town and get free drinks. So I would, get a bar job as soon as you can.
What's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business at school?
So we were talking about this, weren't we? And I was saying, I don't feel like at your age, without sounding patronising, I feel like there's too much pressure on kids now. I feel like until you've got some life experience, you don't know yourself. Your brain hasn't fully developed for one, so how can you make adult choices with a child brain? But I feel like you have to get involved in as many things as you can. If someone says to you, do you want to do this? And, it's not going to land you in prison or get you in trouble, say yeah, because you never know who you're going to meet. So we go to meetings all the time and I don't know what's going to happen. But if someone says, Sarah, do you want to go to that? I'm like, yeah. Find out who's there and make connections. You are as valuable as your network. Make connections, be polite, reply to people. So that would be my advice. Looking to start a business, make connections, network, and be a nice person. Don't be a divvy.
100%. People buy people. I think if you've got a burning idea for a business, I think there's never been a better time in terms of, you can set up a social media account, you can set up a Shopify account, and you can start selling your wares. So if you've got something that you're passionate about, and I think that's the key, like be passionate about it. If you're passionate, if you think, right, I'm going to be a salesperson, and actually I can sell anything, then get started if you've got the means to do it. But I would say, if there's something that you're interested in and you can see it being either a career or a business in the future, go and learn that from someone who's been doing it and doing it well. So, check them out either on their social media or through their LinkedIn. Start connecting with them, because as a business owner, I mean, we had it the other day. There was a girl who's doing event management, and she'd sent us a message. She'd seen the success of Scout Girl Social, and she'd sent us a message and was like, can I come and basically intern with you guys? And we'd missed the message, hadn't we? We'd missed the first message.
She replied to it. She messaged us after she'd seen it, and then we kind of forgot about it because life...
And it would have been dead easy for her to say, well, I've reached out and give out, but she didn't. This is like a really important lesson, this, in terms of like ego, for one. So she kind of pumped up enough courage to go, right, okay, I'm going to reach out to them, because I think it would be a really good opportunity for me, because I'm on this course learning about event management. It would be a good opportunity for me to intern with Girls with Dreams Club. We, as I say, we didn't see the message. She could have easily gone, I'm not going to try again, but she didn't. She was persistent, and we seen the message the second time around. She then come to a small event that we had last week, and straight away, I'm going, oh my God, this girl has got something. This girl has got something. How can I find a place for it in our organisation? Because she stood out. And the amount of business owners, because I know, like, hundreds of business owners, especially in the Liverpool City region area. And if a young person stands out, don't send a CV in, drop them a voice note on Instagram. Find a way of making yourself stand out, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of CVs. Just find a way to stand out, but also don't just be like the loudest person, be the person that can then deliver. Going back to Libby, the young girl that we're talking about, she was keen. She didn't give up, and she knows what she wants. She wants to do events, so she wants to get as much experience as she can in events. So then, when she's applying for jobs, she's able to say, "Well, I've got all the experience. I've delivered on these events." So that, Sarah's mentioned it. Make mates. Push yourself out your comfort zone. I was at a careers event in another school recently, and there was a recruiter from a law firm there. And there was lots of girls, because it was a girls' school, queuing up to chat with them. And I was talking to a handful of them, and I was like, have you got LinkedIn? Have any of you got LinkedIn yet? You've talked about that. And what year 10? So you're doing GCSEs next year. It's never too early to set up a LinkedIn profile. These girls were in lower 6, I think, at the time. So I said to them, set up a LinkedIn, but go and ask the guy, the recruiter, for his name on LinkedIn. And they were a bit like, oh, is that going to be a bit stalkish? And it was like, actually, that's what the world's like. As Sarah said, it's about making connections. It's about relationship building, And so they did. They went up to him. They asked him what his LinkedIn was. And hopefully they went away and they connected with him. And if you think about, he's a recruiter, he is going to get hundreds, possibly thousands of CVs for these positions. But actually, if he's had someone who has reached him from another way and has gone, hi, Richard, say that was what his name was. This is Lucy, met you at such and such school. It was really nice to connect with you. I'm going to be applying for the graduate position. It's just a different way of building a relationship. But then once you're there, you've got to produce the goods. So Libby, she came along to this event. And when she was there, she was just like, we didn't even tell her after.
I was like, hi, Libby, welcome to the deep end, do this. And Libby, she was literally off, but sometimes you just vibe really well with people and they get you. And if you've been following someone, you can watch how they work, you can pick up on them. And if you think you're a good fit for them, just go with it, isn't it? Yeah, and when you are you going to do work experience? Is that coming up soon, or has that happened already? You're going to do some work experience. Has anyone got an idea of where they want to go for the work experience?
Yeah, okay. Just, again, make yourself busy. Talk to everybody in the organisation that you're going to go up to people. Push yourself out your comfort zone and go up, shake hands, ask people what they do, ask them how long that they've been in the organisation for, because maybe in like 18 months, 2 years' time, you might be applying for a job there and they're going to be go, oh God, yeah, I remember that lad. He was the one that like took time to speak to everyone, didn't just speak to the important people, because sometimes we can be a bit like that, can't we? But actually speak to the people who've maybe been in that organisation for 10, 15 years.
What are the plans for Girls with Dreams Club in the future? And do you believe you'll set up any more organisations?
So the second question about setting up organisations, my business partner in the commercial business says to me, she can't let me go out because I probably have a new business idea every couple of days. Not all of them become businesses. So I don't know is the question, but it's a possibility that we might do something else. I think if you are entrepreneurial and you do see business opportunities, it's hard to switch that off. And then in terms of Girls with Dreams, we've got loads planned for the new year. There's 2 more Scouse Girls social events planned. We've got programmes and initiatives we're starting to work with schools, we're working with local authorities. 2026 is going to be a big year for us and we're really excited about it.
If you were a secondary school student, again now, what type of business would you look to start and why?
Tech.
I knew you'd say tech, but I would say whatever makes you feel passionate and lights you up, do something with that, because there's nothing worse than going to a job you hate or doing a business that you're not interested in. Whatever you are, pursue your passion. That would be what I would say.
And community building as well. I think, I've said tech, but I think more and more we're going to be looking for opportunities to come together and do things offline, which I think is why Girls with Dreams has been so popular, because the girls are looking to come to somewhere collectively and build new friendships. So anything that is like around community based, I think would be something to explore.
Awesome. Okay, we have 2 closing traditions on the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. Our first closing tradition is to Simon Squibb you and ask you, what's your dream?
Nicola.
I go first again.
You'll give me more time to think.
So I'm always dreaming about one thing or another.
Dreaming.
But I think at the minute it would be for Girls with Dreams to achieve everything that I know it can achieve next year. This year has been so exciting. We've had so many opportunities. We've had so many brands and organisations see the work that we're doing and see the impact and who are keen to work with us. And next year we need to put all that into place. And my dream is that more and more young girls in the city are engaging with us, are coming to our workshops, are coming to our events. They're seeing the benefits of community. They're seeing the benefits of making new friends. They're seeing the benefits of learning personal development skills, learning how to regulate themselves, and how all of that can just propel them forward. Yeah, that's my dream.
What's my dream? Do you know, I don't know, because I feel like you have goals, don't you? And you tick your goal and then you move on to your next goal. So, I mean, as someone who is a late graduate, as you've seen recently, I just wanted to be part of Girls with Dreams Club, because something in me wanted to ensure that girls were able to be in safe spaces, because I feel like if you're not safe, you can't grow. Yeah. If you are constantly in a state where you feel on edge, you've always got a wall up. So I wanted girls to be able to be in these spaces, and I think through the courses and through the workshops and the events, we managed to do that, it's incredible. We've had so many girls that have connected to us through the events that we've done, haven't we? And parents that have fed back saying how much you've helped my daughter, and I might cry at myself. But I think just to be able to continue to inspire girls and help them to develop their own confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 really brilliant dreams. And I definitely think we do need more third spaces for whatever reason. Whether it's for boys or for girls, we seem to have lost that a bit,
Yeah,
maybe with technology.
Boys are on my radar.
Where we've kind of gone to, and I would say that you know, the spaces that you create are not only safe, but going to Scout Skills Social, they're extremely exciting as well.
This was the thing, you know, I've been wanting to do this for probably since before COVID, and then we put stuff on in the beginning of 2023, and the numbers were there, but they weren't amazing. And I was like, we need to market this, we need to make it cool, we need to make it trendy, and that's what, you know, we never intended on doing big scale events, but you know,
but we
it's out there now. It's out there now.
And some life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans, isn't it? And I think I'm a real big believer in the universe and the power of the universe, and how if you have good intentions and you act with a good heart, good things come back to you.
100%.
And I think you attract things as well. And you know, we aimed, well, we had a minimum spend at Box Park. We had to have a certain amount that we reached. We were paying for it, and that was so nerve-wracking, wasn't it? We were like, we hope we get 300, and we ended up with 9. So, yeah, it's huge. We sold out our next event in 24 hours, didn't we? The Scout Girl on Ice. And I think that's part of it, because we're not out there to make a fortune. We're out there to do good.
And you know what you were saying at the beginning about like a purpose-led business, ours very much is that. And I don't know whether because we aren't out there trying to like sell something at the minute, the opportunities that are coming to us, like some days we're like, oh, how did that happen? That brand
we were pulling our hair out yesterday, and then we got an email from one of the amazing football clubs in the city. Yeah.
LFC, like I've reached out and like, we want to work with you. Whereas I think if we were a commercial entity trying to get into LFC,
it'd be harder.
It wouldn't. But now they're going, no, well, we obviously don't put that in the... So there is definitely something in doing the right thing when no one's looking. That's, you know, do the right thing when no one's looking, and then
always.
So we have a second closing tradition on the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast, and this time we're going to Stephen Bartlett you. So we're going to get you to choose a card from one of the decks of the Diary of a CEO conversation card. So if you want to select a card at random there, and then if you pass that to Paddy to ask you the final question.
How will you control your own greed?
Is there a difference between greed and hunger? Because I'm hungry for stuff, but I don't feel like I'd ever... Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I've got really good willpower. Mm-hmm. Help me. You're meant to be with me.
I'm glad I didn't get that question. Do the other one.
How are you controlling your greed? Oh my God, I'm going to have to put that in ChatGPT.
What scares you the most today?
Scares you the most today? Having to come on this with no makeup on.
Not realising, haven't had business ideas in the past that I haven't realised or haven't had the capacity or the resource to help them reach the potential, and being like, ooh. What scares me is that might happen with Girls with Dreams.
Regrets.
But it won't.
No.
Because we're working together on it. But that scares me sometimes, that I feel like the moment is here for it, and that we've got to kind of not hold back and just move forward with it.
So you got FOMO then? Is that what you're saying?
But no, I haven't got FOMO. No, just that, you know, it's not going to reach its potential. I
think that what will be will be. We can only be ourselves. We can't do more.
No, but you can.
You can't?
You can.
That was really awesome. Thank you. I've had loads of fun today. I think we've had some brilliant advice and guidance from you both. Thanks ever so much for Paddy for interviewing our serial entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, Nick Byrne and Sarah Worsley from Girls with Dreams Club. Thank you again to Mr. Kerry, Sector Skills Champion at UTC The Studio in the Baltic Triangle in Liverpool, and to the Year 10 GCSE Business Studies class. Thanks also to Jay for helping us produce the podcast, as always, graduate from the University of Liverpool. And finally, thanks to Sir Peter Rigby for his generosity to allow not only the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast to happen, but the Enterprise Education in Secondary Schools programme as well. And last but not least, thank you to Paul Brett for his support of the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship that's part of the University of Liverpool Management School. Thanks to you as well for your time and attention, and we look forward to seeing you in another podcast episode in the future. Take care for now.